It's a deck I've been teasing for the past couple of months. I'm ready to showcase to you guys my take on Hades, Deity, Evil. It's been a couple of months, but I'm ready to showcase to you guys my take on Evil, Flame of Hades, Deity, Baphormedes. I'm ready to showcase you guys a Dark States deck. Now, this has been a deck I've been teasing for a while, but now this deck has been completely revamped since my introduction with it, the new support from Clash of Heroes. My new version of this deck is completely different to my advertised variation on my channel. I believe that the variation that I've come up with compared to that one is way more consistent, way more offensive, and just pretty interesting compared to my previous take. I've had more time to practice it in real time and try out a bunch of new cards that have come out to improve the deck's consistency and overall playstyle. I do believe that Baphormedes has a lot of potential to grow as a deck. The two new support cards that got directly for it have made it so much better, as well as the introduction of the new Regalia's piece for grade 3s. And with that being said, card fighters, we're going to head over to camera 2 and check out this deck profile. Alright you guys, so to start off with the ride line, I am playing the Diablo's ride line with Baphormedes. The Diabolos ride line is just the most free and consistent ride line we have for this deck. I personally don't think there are any others that really work as well. The Almagister ride line only works if you soul charge a crit, while it does give you a double soul charge. It doesn't do anything else in the later turns or if you go second, compared to like the other ride lines like the Barrel Magnus one. Same thing, doesn't do anything until you get Barrel Magnus on grade 2. So this one having something you consistently do on 1 and 2 makes it really good for this deck, considering the fact that Baphormedes needs any sort of resource management it can get. Now, starting off with the star of the show and one of my favorite Dark States grade 3s, 3 copies of Demonic Lord of Hades Blaze, Baphormedes. Now, Baphormedes has 2 effects which read as followed. Auto Vanguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, put 2 grade 3 rear guards into Soulless cost, draw a card. And this unit gets plus 10,000 power till the end of that battle for every 3 grade 3 cards in your soul. Continuous Vanguard Circle. This unit gets all of the following according to the number of grade 3 cards in your soul. 3 or more, all of your grade 3 units get shield plus 5,000 and boost. 6 or more, when your opponent will call cards from hand to Guardian Circle for the battle that this unit attacked, they must call 3 or more cards at the same time. Baphormedes is a snowball vanguard. As the game goes on, it goes later and later on throughout the periods of the match, the card just gets stronger. We naturally play a lot of grade 3s in the deck to assist and get all of the effects, and we have it set up to where we can get all of the effects actually pretty fast. With proper setup and the use of the new order cards for Dark States, we've been able to acquire Baphormedes' effect on the first turn even. Usually it doesn't take much setup to get this, you just require a couple of things here and there, but the first and second skill are not hard to reach whatsoever. Speaking of the first and second skill, they actually work out very congruent with each other. Thanks to the first ability being able to apply additional power onto Baphormedes, your persona ride turns become a little bit more scary. The 10,000 power given to that, as well as the usually about 20 to 30,000 power you can get from its skill, means that by itself, Baphormedes on turn 5 or 6 becomes a 43 to 53,000 powered Vanguard with a booster that can force your opponent to drop 3 or more cards to block. Naturally, a player will drop 3 or more cards to stop the attack, but the deck requires low commitment, which makes it good for certain matchups, as well as being a Vanguard that can hit extremely hard. And now the star of the show and the MVP and why this deck is possible, 4 copies of Rectiaspell Dragon. Now this is one of the newer cards introduced in DBT 11 with the following effect. Auto Rearguard Circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if you play a normal order this turn, cost Counterblast 1. Choose 2 normal units from your drop, put them into soul, and this unit gets power plus 5,000 until the end of that battle. With Spell Dragon being a grade 3, it is automatically a target for Baphormedes' effect. On top of the card, it will be behind it, which we'll get to later. That becomes 2 grade 3s you have automatically, and then with its effect, with some discarding over the game, you'll have 4 grade 3s in soul right away. With proper setup with the ride line as well as the other card effects, you automatically get to 6 soul on a first grade 3 turn. The beauty of this card is the fact that because it is a grade 3 and it gets 5k, it automatically hits over defensive numbers that require 10k block, which is naturally hard and overdressed to get, which means that by itself it becomes a really strong attacker and doesn't require boosters to make awkward numbers with your grade 3s. For my next grade 3, I'm playing 4 copies of Exaggerated Dragon. This card is just an extension piece to get to your grade 3 count faster. You drop it on the board anywhere, you don't care about it, put another grade 3 in the soul. Bam, we automatically have any grade 3 in our hand that we can't put in with Baphormedes' skill in the soul to get our effects going. This card with this card automatically gives you about 4 to 5 cards in soul with proper setup, and then any other effects you have. For my next card, I play 2 copies of Execution Dragon, Whirlpool Dragon. Now, Whirlpool Dragon has the following effect of act rearguard circle once per turn, Soul Blast 2. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards and retire it. Auto rearguard circle, when this unit attack hits, you may soul charge 2. So this is one of my pressured cards in the deck. It knocks certain bodies off board, and although Dark States now has this with the new grade 3, I prefer this way better. You can take out the 0s, the 1s, and the 2s that you're going to soul charge through random effects to basically knock out certain pieces that they might need. The second skill is the most important one, as being able to hit a rear guard or another target that is lower than your Vanguard to soul charge 2 means that we potentially could soul charge faster for our Baphormedes skill to set up with it and get more grade 3s into the soul. For my next grade 3s, I play 1 copy of the Causality Dragon, Crucial Dragon. Now this is the new Festival Collection promo grade 3 with the following ability. Continuous rearguard / guardian circle. If your opponent's drive check or damage check reveal the trigger unit this turn, this unit gets power plus 10,000, shield plus 10,000. Auto rearguard circle. When this unit attacks a Vanguard while not boosted, put another rearguard in the same column as this unit into soul and perform all of the following. Choose one of your opponent's rear guards, retire it. This unit gets power plus 5,000 until end of turn. Or remove a over trigger from drop and your opponent cannot call grade 1 or greater cards from hand to guardian circle until end of that battle. So this compared to this actually is good in certain situations. Baphormedes does not build up a huge hand, so knocking out another rear guard prior to using this skill means that you'll have to have more grade 3s onto the board from your hand to get the effect going. While it does accelerate the skill a little bit and the extra shield and power is very much welcome for this card, it sometimes can interrupt your Baphormedes plays if you don't have enough cards in hand. However, I do think that compared to this and this, you definitely could take these out to play more of this if you want to. This just automatically gives us the retire without using any of our other pieces that we have on board if our hand is bad, and this just helps us accelerate our Baphormedes play while knocking out more pieces on board. I think that there's no correct number in terms of grade 3s and ratios that you play in this deck, as long as you keep this card, the order cards, and everything else I'm going to showcase for it. For my last and final grade 3, I'm playing 1 copy of Diablo Striker Brian. This one has the following ability to act rearguard circle once per turn, Soul Blast 2, and until end of turn, all of your front row units get power plus 5,000. So this essentially is your power up piece. It's a pseudo persona ride, and because this deck uses grade 3s all the time, your numbers automatically hit magic numbers anyway. Everything's going to be 18 with a booster plus 13, that'll be like 31,000, and then Baphormedes' skill obviously powers itself up. So being able to turn all of your grade 3s into really solid attackers that require 15k more block is devastating for your opponent, because 15,000 power on 4 attacks that you didn't think much of is going to be a pretty big deal against them. Only one of it's needed because you don't want to be in a situation where you have to choose a Soul Blast between this and this, or interfere with your other effects that require Soul for your grade 3s, such as Baphormedes. But it does give you the opportunity to turn on this card in case you don't have any targets for it, which does happen sometimes because you already put it back in there, so you can return cards back into the Soul to power this back up so it can get all of its effects going again. Now moving on to my grade 1s, I played 3 copies of the new Exaggerated Draco Kid. Now, Exaggerated Draco Kid has the following ability of continuous rearguard / guardian circle / soul. If your Vanguard is grade 3 or greater, this card gets plus 2 grades. Auto, when this unit is placed on rearguard circle, if your soul has a grade 3 card, you may soul charge 1. If a grade 3 card was soul charged by this effect, choose a grade 3 card from your drop and put it into your soul. Now, besides Rectiaspell Dragon, Exaggerated Draco Kid targets our grade 3 order cards that we play in the deck. All of our orders are grade 3s because you want to increase the number of grade 3s you're going to soul charge by random effects or other skills as much as possible. Therefore, having a card such as this that can pull those out of the drop zone on the chance that we do soul charge a grade 3 means that we have more ways of getting to our grade 3 count for Baphormedes much faster. And then for the star of the show of the deck is Desire Devil Bubetsu. Now, Bubetsu, while being a Desire Devil, has a pretty cool effect that works out very well for Baphormedes. His skill states, auto rearguard circle once per turn. When your other rearguard is put into your soul by your Vanguard's ability during your turn, counterblast 1. Choose a card from your hand, call it to an open rearguard circle, and if your soul has 10 or more cards, draw a card. Now, Bubetsu allows this deck to have 4 attacks, sometimes even 5 if you have another one set up on the board. The card is fantastic. It gives 4 to 5 attacks in the deck, which this deck needs to maintain its pressure. It also lets you draw back a card if you have 10 cards in soul. And with this deck, getting 10 cards in Soul is not difficult to do. Your Soul Blast really only go towards these 2 cards, and you only Soul Blast with these if needed. Brian, 9 times out of 10, is the most common one to get that extra push to make your grade 3 attacks matter, since a lot of them don't have power-up skills. But Bubetsu applying that additional pressure that gives Baphormedes a chance to keep up with the other decks is extremely fantastic. Next up, I play 4 copies of the Dark States PG. And then finally for my triggers. So my trigger lineup is extremely simple. It's just 8 critical with the 4 Diablo Skirl, Lively Breath Dragon, 3 draw triggers because this deck needs as much card advantage as it can get, so you can hit the Bubetsus, the Jetters, the spells, the Draco Kids, and draw into your orders. 1 copy of the Dark States OT because if you hit it early game, you're pretty much set up with Baphormedes' skill. And then 4 generic heals. Now in this deck, I actually don't recommend switching out to the other heals. You definitely can switch out for 2 of the critical one right now because the crit metagame. But I think that being able to guarantee that you have a 15k shield is more valuable, especially in a deck like this that does not generate an insane amount of card advantage. Alright card fighters, thank you so much for staying tuned throughout the entirety of this deck profile. Tell me your thoughts on my take for Baphormedes. I personally believe that this build is really solid. Like I stated, Baphormedes has a lot of ways it can go, the new support makes it very consistent, and the deck is actually really fun to play right now. I do believe that it still needs a lot more support in the future, specifically grade 3s that can do more than the grade 3s we have now, but this variation of this list has been one that I've been enjoying pretty much myself. Go ahead and give it a try and tell me your thoughts about it in the comment section below. And with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and head out and keep on